This is Rangers Deep in the Heart, your all-access pass to life in the big leagues with personal moments and heart-to-heart chats with Rangers players, their families, and staff. This show is brought to you by Justin Boots, the official boot of the Texas Rangers. I'm your host, Hannah Wing. Hey everyone, and welcome into Season 2, Episode 4 of Rangers Deep in the Heart. I'm really excited about today's guests because we are joined by Rangers reliever Robert Garcia and his amazing wife, Paige. Now, the Garcia family was traded from Washington to Texas this past offseason in the Nathaniel Lowe deal, and Robert has a really interesting story about actually retiring at one point, but deciding that he wasn't done yet. We'll dive into all of that and so much more in today's episode. But Paige and Robert, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, anytime. You just had a big birthday, the big 2-9. What'd you guys do to celebrate?
Came to the field.
Came to the field, yeah.
Play baseball.
Nothing really.
Family day.
Family day. How was family day?
So fun.
Yeah.
Our kids had a great time. They did not want to get off the bounce house, so.
The bounce house. What did they have planned for you guys?
They did a craft there. They had like little
They had the baseball bats. They had
and then like little animals that they had in cages, and they got to decorate the cages like stuffed animals and stuff.
Fun.
Yeah.
I saw there was a kangaroo. Was there a live kangaroo and a sloth on the field?
Yes, a live baby kangaroo. Our
I didn't
children,
go see him.
Yeah.
So.
Our daughter would have been very scared of
I
that.
saw there's a tarantula.
A tarantula?
There was a tarantula.
Were people holding it, or was it just like arm's distance?
No, kids were holding it.
Yeah, you could hold it.
That would freak me out so much.
I was not about that.
That's like my actual worst nightmare. Well, again, really happy to have you guys here on the show. Welcome to the Rangers organization. I know it's been a few months since the start of the season, but what are your first impressions of Texas so far?
It's been hot.
Yeah.
Hot, humid, but it's been great. Everybody's been really nice, very welcoming. It's been really easy transition, so it kind of feels like home now. So.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state, and I feel like when we first came here to visit, I was like, it actually feels like we're living like a little bit of real life before he goes to the field too, like slower pace, so it was nice.
Good. Let's dive into some icebreakers to start the show off. So you two met at UC Davis. Paige played water polo, Robert played baseball. How did you two actually meet? Like, what year of college was it? Can you set the scene for us?
Yeah, do you want to tell it?
Yeah, okay. Freshman year, we lived in the same dorm. So everybody had to live in dorms. So we lived in the same, there's 3 dorms. We lived in the same one. There's only one spot to do your laundry. And athletes technically do their laundry like all at night because that's the only time you really have. So yeah, that was at nighttime. We met in the laundry room, just doing laundry and just said hi. And
he's always wearing his like UC Davis baseball shirt, and I'm wearing my UC Davis water polo shirt. So we just got to talking, like being athletes, and then started just talking more about life. And we got to just like have a friendship, and we would randomly always meet in the laundry room. And then we ended up having a class together like later that freshman year. And then nothing really like came about that. We just had like a lot of life talks. And then sophomore year, I actually had braces my freshman year of college too. So sophomore year, we got back to school, and then we're like walking on the same street, and he was like, "Oh, hi," and I was like, "Hi," and I smiled, and he like double took, like I got my braces off, and he's like, "Oh, hi." And then that's kind of what our story just started from there. We started hanging out a lot more.
So how long were you two friends before you started dating?
I would say like a year.
Yeah.
Because we met really like before school even started freshman year in the dorms, and then we just like had a friendship basically like in passing, like a little bit here and there, more so when we had a class together. And then when we came back sophomore year, then kind of started dating then.
That's a great story though. So love at first laundry room, I guess. That's amazing. I did not see that one coming. My next question is, if you had to pick a walk-up song for each other, what song would you pick and why?
Good one. I would probably choose All That Really Matters by Teddy Swims. Yeah, I like to keep 2 feet on the ground and just realize how we got here, where we are, and what really matters.
Robert, what was your choice for Paige?
Glamorous by Fergie.
That is such a good one. She is pretty glamorous, isn't she?
Maybe one day a month.
Hey,
but we'll take it.
It counts.
It's our favorite song. My daughter and I's in the car.
Cute.
We just like blast it. So
just Fergie on repeat all day, every day.
Addie knows all the words.
She does.
That is so cute. I love that. Okay, great choices. If you guys could have any celebrity throughout the first pitch at a Rangers game, who would you choose and why?
You're going to have to go first on this.
At a Rangers baseball game.
Any celebrity, athlete, comedian, whatever it is.
I think Luke Combs would be a good one.
Oh yeah,
great
that's
country
a good
artist. Like
He's a big baseball guy too.
big
Yeah.
baseball guy. Yeah,
That is a really good
I would
one.
love to meet him. That'd be cool. So.
Yeah.
What about you?
Let's see. I would have to probably say, oh goodness, probably someone from like reality TV, like someone from The Bachelor or
Oh,
like,
nice.
you know, like a Selling Sunset or something like that. I love to binge reality TV.
I
don't
think
know if I could
Christine
pick a
Quinn's in the
person,
Dallas
but-
area.
Okay,
From
maybe.
Selling Sunset.
Yeah,
Kind of like the villain, but
True, she is.
or just any reality star.
Yeah, I just think that's
I like
fun.
it. We have that in common. And then finally, for our little icebreaker round, what is one word you have to describe each other?
Loving.
Selfless.
Aren't you glad this is recorded?
I
You can
know.
Look back on
I
this
know.
one day.
That was
Long
quick, too.
season.
I didn't
love
even
it.
finish mine. Good job.
Okay, great. Thanks for playing. And then now we're going to play a game called Start, Bench, Give the Boot. So you'll start your favorite, give the bench to your middle, and then give the boot to your least favorite. So, Paige, you played water polo like we just mentioned. So we're going to do swimming strokes for you. So we'll do start, bench, give the boot for freestyle, butterfly, and breaststroke.
Oh, okay. We'll have to start with freestyle just because that's the easiest. I do love breaststroke, but I'll give bench that one. And then give the boot on butterfly.
Butterfly's tough.
It's terrible. They made me do it my freshman year of high school on my swim team. And no.
You're like,
never
I'm
again.
good.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
not
like,
on
I
that
don't
one.
think that's not for me.
What was the longest you've ever had to egg beater?
Oh. Probably like 4 to 5 hours.
Hours?
Oh yeah. I think that's like how long a practice would be. And we don't really ever get time like on the wall or anything. It's just like all active moving. So
Wow. It's
Yeah.
impressive.
What about
Yeah.
the ocean swim?
yeah, but I was just swimming on that the whole time. We
like, that was a
swam
piece
2
of
miles
cake.
in La Jolla Cove,
Oh,
but we were just
wow.
swimming the whole time. So
A little
yeah.
different.
Yeah, it's different.
Have you ever tried any of the water polo drills?
Yeah, I actually did.
You did?
She took me to the pool.
Him and a friend of his.
Him and my
was like-
buddy, we went to the pool. We're like, oh, like my buddy, likes to talk a lot of mess. So he's like saying this is easy. I was like, Scott, it's not easy. So we get in the pool and we try to. What was
that we had to give them like balls to
You know
like
those-
hang on and
no,
like.
but there was like that big drum that you used to have put water in, and then you'd flip it over on that like
like those 5-gallon like.
the 5-gallon drums. So you fill
water
it with
bottle
water and
things,
like
yeah.
put over your head.
Oh yeah. There's
I-
no way.
And I almost drowned. So.
That's
You
like
almost
a.
drowned. So how long did you last, Robert?
2 seconds.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd give him that.
Yeah.
Paige like, that's really generous. Okay, Robert, for your start, bench, give the boot, we're going to do food, of course. So we'll have Tex-Mex, barbecue, and Southern food.
I'm gonna go barbecue as number 1. I'm gonna bench Southern food, and then Tex-Mex is that one's out.
Not a Tex-Mex guy.
Nah, not really. Just didn't grow up on it, obviously, being from California.
Yeah, he's a barbecue guy through and through. So that's
They
a good
just
one.
don't have great breakfast burritos
Yeah.
in Texas. I think that's what I've learned. What do you guys think?
That's interesting because I told him the other day
Yeah, we were
we
just
should
looking.
get one, and there's like we
Nothing.
couldn't find anything. So
It's a good point. I never really
Yeah.
thought about that.
We're just 3 California kids doing our best trying to find breakfast burritos in DFW. Looking for boots that work just as hard as you do? Justin Boots delivers rugged performance, timeless style, and over 145 years of Western tradition. Find your next perfect pair at justinboots.com. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of every episode. It's time for the newlywed game. So Paige and Robert, you already know the drill, but you're gonna hold up the foam finger if it applies more to Paige, and then the baseball if it's more to Robert. But make sure you guys stay back to back, so no cheating. Okay, you ready? Who is more competitive? Obviously, it's 2 college athletes. I'm sure there's a lot of competition in the Garcia household. Paige is more competitive. Really?
yeah, I'm very competitive.
Has it always been that way?
Yes.
Yeah, ever
I
since.
try not to show that to the new people that I meet until like we really get to be friends, and then I'm like, hi.
So how many games in until the other Rangers' wives can see that side of you?
It's starting to come out
Okay.
for some people.
In
yeah.
June. I
yeah,
love
yeah.
Okay, between the two of you, who has a better game day playlist? Robert? All right, give us a few songs or artists that are on your go-to playlist.
My game day go-to, I start with Kygo Radio. I just play the whole thing. And I don't know, it just depends based on like the mood I'm in, but usually end up with some kind of rap or something like that. Or I'll just stay on Kygo Radio the whole time. Some kind of like EDM.
Nice.
which
So,
is funny.
I'm not like a
he's,
really specific person. I just
Yeah.
like I pick a genre and then that's kind of what I read with.
Nice.
and he's like a country music guy in the car.
In the
So like
car.
it's
In the
funny to
car.
hear his like game day regulars.
Were you jealous of all the ACM stuff?
Yeah, it was. So,
It was fun. All right, between the two of you, who has the more embarrassing sports moment? Robert? Okay, let's hear it. What happened?
I'd say it's gonna have to be me. She thinks she's never had a bad game.
It's true.
Because she's a more competitive one, so it makes sense.
But yeah, I've had some really bad games, so I'm gonna have to say me.
But
There's
it's
not
embarrassing, not really bad.
or embarrassing, yeah.
I would say any wild pitch, like
Yeah,
really over.
There was one on the A-ball. I had
Yeah.
a wild pitch. I threw it to the backstop
Oh, wow.
because it slipped out my hand, and then I threw it to the backstop, hits the backstop, bounces over my head.
Oh, no.
And then I go and grab the ball, and I throw it, and that one slips out my hands, and it hits the guy on deck.
Yeah,
It was
it was
pretty
like a
bad.
whole back-to-back thing. Not good.
But that was a while ago. You're
Oh, that was
past
a
it
long
now,
time
but it
ago,
still
yeah.
haunts you probably a
It-
little bit
it
every
was-
now and
it was
then.
bad.
Who takes longer to get ready? Paige?
Yeah, just being a girl.
I get it.
I feel like he takes a little while too, but I take a little longer.
It's always their hair. They take so long for their hair. I'm like, it's fine.
Right. And he doesn't have like 2 kids crawling all over him while getting ready. So
True. I'm sure that makes it like
Yeah.
double the time. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks again for playing the Newlywed Game. That was a lot of fun. But of course, we have to talk about Robert's baseball journey because there is nothing out there that I've ever heard that is close to it. So you got drafted in 2017 by the Kansas City Royals. What do you remember about your time in the minor leagues?
I just remember like getting drafted anytime you get drafted out of college and you're about to leave, you just like don't know what you're gonna get yourself into, and like you hear all these stories about what the minor leagues is like, but you really will never really know until you experience it. And I think that's the best way I could put it, because like throughout the minor leagues I learned so many things about myself, about how bad I really wanted it, because there are some really, really tough moments that you go through. And, I just remember sleeping on the floor, of an apartment with 5 other guys next to you. But you're all in it for the same thing. And that's kind of made it, fun at the time. But yeah, it was good. I think I was 5 years with the Royals at that time. So it was a good 5 years.
Paige, what do you remember about Robert's time in the minor leagues?
Yeah, I feel like looking back now, I'm like, how did we even survive that? Because it was a lot of distance. Like we would go months without seeing each other because I just worked a full-time job. And so it was long and it was grueling, but I mean, nothing that we wouldn't have, done any different. Always like supportive, just being the sounding board in the ear. So it was definitely a long process looking back. But in the moment, it didn't really feel long like that. You just took it day by day.
What was the job that you had when he was kind of starting off in his minor league career?
Yeah, I worked for a university in like admissions. So I was in office, and then I worked in there until COVID hit, and then I got to work from home. So
Wow. And speaking of 2020, you got your master's during that time, Robert. What led you to that decision?
Well, I had some school money left over from finishing my bachelor's, and I didn't want to take a break and then find out like later on when baseball was over. Like I think that was my biggest fear in the game, was like if I didn't make it or didn't have such a long career in the big leagues, like what would I do after? And so that fear kind of just like pushed me to go to finish my degree and use the extra bit of money that I had left over and just grind through it.
Yeah.
It sucked, but we got it done. Like when you get home from the field and like your teammates are playing video games and you're doing homework, like it sucks, but like at the end of the day, like when I graduated, it was like, okay, that was worth every bit of it.
When you look back at that time of juggling baseball life, that kind of weird 2020 COVID season or lack thereof, how did you juggle keeping your mind and body ready for baseball, but also getting your master's at the same time?
That was tough. 2020 was kind of just a weird year for everybody, but for us, like she was working, I was home the whole time. I wasn't at the alternate site, So that was a weird situation for me because I was like, okay, are we playing this year? Are we not? I have to stay ready. But I remember I wake up in the morning, I would go lift and throw and do all my stuff, and then baseball activities. And then I would go paint houses with her dad.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Then at night I would go work at either if I had a shift at the restaurant I was working at, or I had lessons to do. And so I just worked for that whole entire year, like 2 or 3 jobs at a time. And she was working, and I would come home and do homework at night. We didn't have any kids.
Pregnant, yeah.
You were pregnant, yeah. We didn't have any kids at the time. I was like, which was probably the reason why I was able to get all that done.
Right.
But yeah, so we, did that. It was a grind.
Paige, what did you learn about Robert's determination with all of the things he had to juggle during that time period?
I feel like I probably learned that from him way before that. Like, he's just very like focused, and if he wants something, like, he's going to achieve that. So he's always been like that. He's always been like goal oriented, and he doesn't really allow himself like any free time to do anything else. Like, he'll always have something like school, another job. Like, he's never going to just be sitting still. He's always trying to like work harder to provide or just like do better himself. So
When you look back on that time, Robert, in 2020, with all those different things going on, it was a weird year for baseball players and non-baseball players. Like, no one really knew what was happening during that time. So when you kind of thought about life after baseball, what did you want that to look like, and what was your master's in?
So my master's was just a regular MBA, master's in business administration. I didn't have enough money to go get an emphasis, and I was like, well, am I gonna pay for this out of pocket, or am I gonna like just leave it there? And I was just like, I'll just leave it there. So I didn't really do anything else after that, but no, it's just a normal MBA, and the reason why I did business was because I felt like that was something that I've always been passionate about, is like business and sales and stuff like that. I knew that if there is a avenue of where I'm going to be after baseball, it's definitely going to be somewhere in that direction. So
Baseball is just such a tough sport. I think that's part of what this show's goal is just show what you guys really go through as families and as couples to get to the major leagues. And a lot of people don't get to that point, and they grind through the minor leagues for all of those years and either don't finish college or don't go to college. And then kind of what do you fall back on? So what is your advice to players that are either thinking about pursuing a degree or getting an education to kind of have as that plan B?
I think everybody should do it. I think you should take advantage of the time that you have right now, where we have so much downtime, but we don't. You know what I mean? Like, when you're gone and your family's not with you, like in the minor leagues, when I was a young kid at the time, she wasn't with me. I had time when I got home. Like, use that time, because you may never get that time back, and you just don't know. And I think that it's always good to have a backup plan. So
I feel like even now, like when you get home from the field at 11 o'clock at night, like you don't just go to bed. You can't like shut your brain off like that. So I think he used that as a tool too, just to like, let me just do some schoolwork, and then I'll go to bed at 1, and then I'll wake up at 11, and then I'll use that other hour before I go to the field to do some more homework instead of like playing video games. So it is hard to want to prioritize that, but it's worth it.
I think I don't like the term plan B. I've always hated that term, but like having some kind of like something else to fall back on, or just have it there, can help you perform even better on the field, because like you have a little bit less, because once you get older, I feel like the pressure starts to build up, and so maybe sometimes that can relieve some of the pressure, knowing that like, okay, I don't have to be in baseball for the rest of my life. I can go and do other things, and maybe when it is your time to retire, you have something else to go back to.
So ultimately, after the 2021 season, you did choose to retire. So what led you to that decision?
So 2021 was a tough year for me. COVID just happened. I had an injury in spring training. So pit throwing that year did not feel great at all. Wasn't doing well. My daughter was just born. They were at home, and I pretty much missed the first 6 months.
It was hard for us to travel. I think we saw him once that whole season. So
6 months that time, and so yeah, I kind of just mentally put myself in a hole. And so yeah, after that season, I was talking to my agent throughout that time, and I was like, I think I want to be done. And he was like, well, I need you to see it out with one more month of the season, or I think there's a month and a half. And so we kind of talked about it throughout the season, and so it wasn't just like it was a one-time thing. It was like it was talked about throughout the season. And then when the season ended, and I got home, and I was like, wow, like I didn't feel the same love that I usually have every off season, where like you come home, it's a relaxing moment, but like you're like, oh, I need to go train, I need to get like find a way to get better. And it's like I didn't have that year, and it was the first time in my career that I didn't have that, and I just wanted to be home with my daughter. And so that's kind of what led to that. And I didn't, at the time, I never looked back. I signed my paperwork, submitted everything. And then when Rule 5 day came, and, the process was a little bit mixed up, and the paperwork wasn't submitted. I was put on a list, Rule 5 list, instead of the paperwork just being submitted without putting me on a list. That's what kind of caused that whole mishap. And then when I had attended a draft, and they let teams know that I was retiring, and so I still got picked. And when I think that's what kind of like gave us a little bit more spark of like, okay, like, yeah, your time with the Royals, you didn't feel like you were going to move that quick, but maybe we can go give it another shot. Maybe this is God telling you that like you're not done yet, that there's still more like life in you in this game. And so that's kind of the reason why she was a big supporter in that too. Like I was, at the time, I was still done until like we sat down and we were like, okay, like what are we really doing here? And when she put that in perspective, like maybe this is God's way of telling us that like you still have another opportunity, another chance, and you're not done yet. This isn't the end of your story.
So Paige, from your perspective, what was your gut telling you? I mean, you have a baby at home, you haven't seen him in 6 months. I'm sure part of you was like, it would be nice to have him home every single day and have more of that sense of normalcy. But what were those conversations between the two of you that ultimately led you to going back into baseball?
Yeah. It's funny because I always joke about that too, that I'm like, I never dreamed of my life being like this. I always just wanted the 9 to 5, come home for dinner, like go to bed and it be casual. But I've always told him, like, I'll be the last person to support you in retiring in like the best way that you can take those words, because I'm not ever going to push you that way. I mean, secretly, I would love, again, to live that normal life, but I'm going to make sure that you don't have any regrets and that like you see every piece through. So when he was talking about that, I'm like, okay, I understand. And it was hard for me at home too. And I had to still work because in the minor leagues, you can't survive off of that. So I'm working and have my daughter. And so I'm trying to balance even time of spending time with her, let alone trying to see her dad and my husband, who's in Arkansas or wherever he was. So totally understood where he was coming from. Loved that he made such a decision and he thought through it and he talked to so many people about it. So when he finally decided that that was what he was going to do, I fully supported that. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I just really don't feel like this is going to go well. In 5 years from now, I feel like we're going to go through a really rough patch and it's going to be really hard on him because all of his friends are going to be there now. And he's going to think like that could have been me too. So when he called me and told me I was at work, that the whole Rule 5 thing, I was like, we gotta take it. Like, you have to do this.
Was that something that you knew on that phone call? Like, this is happening for a reason, like, just do it? Or do you guys have to take some time as a family and, like, really think it through?
I think he needed some time. I knew, and I didn't say anything, of course, like, this is his journey. But I knew on the phone at that moment, like, he was going to do this. And he probably knew that too, but he had already made the decision. He was already working. He was already moving forward in another phase of his life. So I think that maybe was already, challenging in itself. But I had kind of had regrets myself for him in that 2 months that he's working. And I'm like, this isn't good. Like, so as soon as I found out he could go back, I'm like, you have to go back because I already don't feel easy about this decision.
Robert, in that 2 months time period, what was your job?
I was a mortgage loan officer. I was working as a mortgage loan officer.
So you were there for 2 months and then got the call from the Marlins during the Rule 5 draft of like, hey, this opportunity is here if you want it. Where were you when you got that call?
I was at my desk.
We
And
actually got text messages from friends
Oh, wow.
yeah,
saying we're going to miss you. And he thought they just found out that he retired.
yeah. So I got, prior to that, I got the text messages, answered those, put my phone down. Like, I thought my buddy was joking with me when he told me I got, like, selected by the Marlins, because that's something, like, he would have done. So, so I would, just went back to my desk, started working, and then my phone just started blowing up. And, like, at that job, you need your phone. So it's like, I can't just have this thing ring all day, so I have to answer them. So I answered the phone, and, it's, my agent called me, the team called me. And the first thing, the biggest person I listened to was my agent at the time. I was like, he said, this is 100% your choice to make this. He was like, you can't make this no one else can make this choice but you. You don't owe anything to anybody. This is 100%. You need to make this what's best for you and your career. And he was like, take some time. We probably took about a month, or like about a day, right?
Yeah, I don't feel like it was
not
very
even
long.
long, not even a day, probably 8 hours.
There were some logistics like to work out and
Yeah.
things like that, but it wasn't long. I already knew we were going back.
Paige was like, I'm ready. Let's get this thing going. So once you get that phone call and you realize, okay, I need to get mentally and physically ready, and I still have a desk job. So what did that look like? Did you have to quit your job and start training, or what was that process like?
Well, when they called me, when Miami called me, they knew that I was retiring. So they knew I was not doing anything. And so when they called me and we talked what it was going to be like if I come back and stuff like that, they told me, like, okay, like, now where are you right now? Like, have you even lifted? And I was like, I think I said yes. But I was like,
You're like, it's April Fool's, it's fine.
Yeah. But then they asked me about throwing. I was like, I can't like say anything about that. Like, I've been throwing. So I was like, no, I haven't been throwing. And they're like, oh, I will start and see what you get, and we'll just play it by ear as you come in. And I was like, okay. But the hardest thing about the year was trying to catch up. Those 2 months that I was 2.5 months of not doing anything, kind of like was tough. You really felt that when the next season. And
Paige, what did that look like for you? Kind of that transition period. He's getting ready to get back out there again. Are you looking at apartments to rent? Like, what was that like for you, kind of having to change your life as well?
It was unfortunately still going to be long distance again. I was now teaching at the time. So I, was great because teacher schedule, you can spend the summers with him, but then you don't really have much other time. And of course, we had just moved to Arizona probably 6 months before that, and he got traded to a team that had a Florida spring training. So I was like, well, now we can't even be together for spring training. So, but all really just excitement that he was getting back in there because I knew that he needed to be there.
So that happened in 2021, shortly after 2021, so maybe early 2022. And then you debuted with the Marlins in 2023.
2023, yeah.
What do you remember about that day? I guess just from both of your perspectives, because that was something that in the back of your mind, you knew you always wanted.
Yeah, and well, the cool thing about that was, like, the coaches that I was with in AAA, the 2022 and 2023, they knew my story. They knew for me, how I got there and all the hard work I put in. They also saw, like, in 2022 and like how bad I wanted to get called up to the big leagues. And so that moment when they got to pull me in the office and like tell me, I think we all cried. It was a pretty cool moment. Even like both the coaches, and the coolest part was that she was outside the stadium because we were in Charlotte at the time, and she was outside the stadium, and so I got to tell her in person, which actually was really cool.
Yeah.
She didn't believe me
I
at
did
first,
not believe
but
him. I thought he was lying.
yeah. And so I remember they had like a
Baby powder.
yeah, there's baby powder all over me because, like, when I got called out of the office, they started throwing baby powder on me. So I'm walking out and I'm covered in baby powder. And she's like, what are you doing?
And it was early, and we're the last ones here every day. Like, he takes forever to come out of the locker room. So I'm like, why are you already out
He's
here?
just
Like,
fixing his
Yeah.
hair,
I was
like you said earlier in the show.
I'm like, everyone's still here. What are we doing? So that was really cool.
What was your reaction, Paige? Like, obviously, baby powder aside, like when you saw him walk out and he told you, like, what were your emotions?
I think I was talking to somebody, and he came up behind me. So it was just like a whole, like, why are you here? What's happening? I was just shocked. Obviously, we have our daughter. I'm pregnant with our second, and my mom was there too, which that was just really nice because we had the help getting there and we were on the road. So, but just pure shock and then it was immediately of like, okay, now what? What do we do with the car that's here? How do we get there? What are we doing? So it was just fun. And it was already like midnight at that point.
Oh my
so.
gosh, of course. What do you remember about taking the mound for that first time, especially knowing what you've been through with your journey?
It was crazy. I think, because the first day I got there, I don't really remember anything from the first day, just because like you get there, you get on the field, like there's so much going on. But then in Baltimore, I knew I was like, oh, it's gonna happen at some point, so just gonna kind of be ready. And when it did, I was just like trying to stay with 2 feet on the ground and just go do my job and think about everything else after, which is very hard to do because it's the big leagues, it's your first taste, so it was a special moment, but it was cool.
So then later on in 2023, Washington claimed you off of waivers, and then you were traded to Texas in December of 2024. What was your reaction when you got the call that you were part of the Nathaniel Lowe trade?
I was shocked. I didn't think I was getting traded. I don't think we both did at all because that's not what, I was kind of, at the end of the season, they kind of told me, like, hey, you're going to be here for the future. You're going to be a big part of this bullpen. So when we got that call, we were just like, what just happened? This does not, So it shocked, but I was like really happy. I was like, when we found out we were going to Texas, I was like, well, Texas is an awesome place. Their spring training is literally right down the road.
Yeah.
So I was like, it looks like we're not going anywhere for spring training.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And then, but yeah, and it was cool. I said my goodbyes to those guys. They were awesome. Big part of my big league start and journey. So I said, and then I got to meet everybody here, and so that's been great.
Paige, from your perspective, I think it was a few days before Christmas, from what I remember. So you're probably in like the holiday swing of things, the family's all together. So as Robert's wife, what were things like for you trying to uproot your family to a whole different state?
Yeah. Well, we were hosting a Christmas party when he got the call.
Perfect.
So
of course
everyone was at our house. So that was really fun. So he pulls me aside in the bedroom and I'm like, what? And then of course it's going to be on the internet in like 5 minutes. So we're trying to navigate our feelings and then try to tell everyone else, and no one's understanding what's going on. But yeah, I think that with baseball in general, always know that that's an option. And so it was nothing different, just like processing the emotions for a little bit.
So you were still staying in Arizona. So for spring training, it was fine. But then what was it like trying to find a place out in Texas without really being here full time?
Yeah, so that was great because they had us out for Fan Fest. So we were able to have a weekend here and just kind of drive around and talk to people and meet the team, which was nice too, because then we built some connections and we're not feeling so alone. And so a lot of people had a lot of great advice and help, and we toured places, and we were able to make those decisions before spring training came. So that was good.
I always wonder how that happens.
Yeah, that was very helpful
Really,
that we
really helpful.
had a trip out here.
And speaking of familiar faces, Robert, you grew up an hour and a half outside of San Francisco, so you watched Bruce Bochy with his time with the Giants. So a lot of times free agents will come out and say, I wanted to play for Boch and that's why I'm here. But it was kind of the luck of the draw for you because there were all these teams you probably could have gone to and ended up here now playing for him. So what was your first impression of meeting Boch after watching him for all those years?
I was a little intimidated at first.
He's also giant.
Yeah,
So.
I didn't realize how tall he was. But no, it's definitely something like I grew up a Giants fan, went to a lot of those games. He's obviously a very big part of the Giants organization during those times. And so like it was awesome. I was like, well, this is going to be an opportunity that you kind of dreamed of as a kid, and so now it gets to happen. And so no, it's been awesome. Like he's been great. Been He's been a great manager. He's been awesome to talk to. He cares about his guys, and that's the best thing.
What is your favorite part about playing for Bochy?
His expectation of just being resilient. You're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days, but how many times can you take the mound and just be the same guy? And I respect that, a lot because, he wants the dogs out there, and so I think it's a good standard to have.
So let's talk about you on the mound. Obviously, you come in high leverage situations. Do you get nervous, or what is your mentality?
Um, I wouldn't say nervous, but like I'm always like anxious. Like if I always wondered, like I always ask guys like, um, do you still get anxious like in your 12th year in the big leagues? And they're like, yeah. They're like the moment you don't, hang it up. I
Really?
was like, oh really? And I was like, well, if that's the case, then and I'm gonna deal with this for the next 12 however long I'm playing. I was like, well, just got to figure it out. So made it a lot easier. But at first when I first got to the big leagues and my first couple, high pressure situations, yeah, we get nervous. But now it's just like, I feel like I know myself pretty well to where, it's just one pitch at a time.
Mhm.
So I can't say I'm not nervous. There's probably a little bit of nerves, but I would say just more anxious of getting on the mound and getting to the first pitch.
When you're making that run from the bullpen to the mound, what's usually going through your head?
Usually I'm trying to like control my breathing. So that's probably about it. Cause like I don't like to like if I run too fast or run too slow, then I have to like catch up because the clock is there. So I just like to have my breathing on point just so I don't feel gassed like from running and then having to hurry up because we only have a minute left. So yeah, that's just something that helps me get my mind off everything else. It's a little trick I have, I guess.
Interesting. That's really cool to hear about. Paige, what is your perspective when you're watching Robert take the mound? Are you nervous or are you kind of at peace? What does that look like from your perspective?
Oh no, I'm nervous all the time. I don't usually like to be like next to anyone or like sitting. I think I usually stand. My son doesn't really sit in the stands well anyway, so I'm usually just like rocking his stroller, so that helps me. But yeah, always anxious, just like please.
When you see Robert's demeanor on the mound and who he is as a husband, as a father, are there any similarities or differences?
Focus. He's just very focused like on whatever he's doing, which is a really great quality like in everything. So, why are you laughing though?
No, it's good.
Oh
I
yeah.
knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, he's just like sometimes I have to like be a little bit more intentional like in our home life too because he'll even just be like working on his truck or something and our daughter is like dad dad dad. I'm like she said dad 3 times.
He's just
And
locked
like
in.
he just
Yeah.
locked in and like that's just his personality. It's nothing against like he just doesn't even hear it. He's just always so focused on what he's doing. So it's a blessing and a curse sometimes.
My husband's the same way. I call it selective hearing. I'm like, were you listening and not hearing again? Like, hello. That's hilarious. That's awesome. So looking back on your baseball journey, again, very unique. You guys have a lot to be proud of, both of you. It's been a wild ride for both Paige and Robert. But how many times were you sitting at your desk job as a mortgage lender thinking about being in the position that you're in right now?
I would say there was some what if that I would say like when I was at that job, like okay, what if that's able to happen? Um, and so at that point, it's more of a dream than anything close to reality. But now, obviously, it is reality. So it's pretty cool to look back and be like, I really wasn't that far away.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like I don't think it's not like a disappointment in me back then, but it's like, okay, you obviously had to learn from so many different things because throughout this journey, because you weren't that far away, you were closer than you thought, and so to me that tells like the biggest lesson I learned is like you're only really as far as you really think you are, and if you're able to have some resilience and just be level-headed every day and not get too high, not get too low, it's going to help you move forward. I don't know. I just think those are big things that I've learned in my life. And that was a big moment.
The
So
mental piece is really hard to get over.
There are a lot of Rangers fans from all ages and walks of life that tune into this show. So if they're at a crossroads, whether it's something personal, whether it's their career, What is your advice to them about knowing what's the right thing?
If you have a goal and a dream, I feel like you're not as far as you think you are. You're only as far as you think you are, and I feel like that says everything. It's like if you think that you're going to be like you're far away from it, then yeah, you're going to be far away. But if you really, really believe in it, and you think that it's only a couple, goals away, then yeah, it's gonna be a lot closer to you. I think it's just all mentality, in my opinion.
Paige, from your perspective, when you look back on everything that you guys have been through and the moves and the kids and not seeing each other for a long time to what your life is like now here in Texas, what are you the most proud of?
I think the perseverance and the just deciding to go for it. Like, I feel like I'm just really thankful. Like I say, like in the time when you're in the minor leagues, you just, again, like day to day, like you don't feel like you're going to the big leagues, like especially like in the position that we were in. Like I knew it was going to be like a long 6-7 years to get there. Like I knew we were going to take it one step at a time. So looking back, I'm just like impressed at like how we did, manage that and like stay grounded through it. But now currently just like so thankful.
Built for the bold, the Frontier collection from Justin blends classic Western style with modern edge. With sleek looks and premium leathers, these boots are ready for anything. Find your Frontier today at justinboots.com. Now let's talk about your life off the field. So you have 2 kids, Andrew and Adeline. How was that, raising 2 kids during the craziness of a baseball season?
It's tough, but it's fun. I mean,
It is fun.
yeah. I'm just like, I go back to like my thankful and like I'm so blessed because what other kids get to grow up in this kind of life, so just really like taking that for what it is and in the hard moments trying to remind yourself of that because some of them can be really tough when we're on a long plane ride or when we're waiting at the field for a long time, so but it's fun.
What are your kids' favorite parts about coming to dad's games? I've heard all sorts of answers of like the gum room, the snacks, the chips. Like, what do your kids enjoy the most about it?
Addie is definitely the family room.
Yeah.
She comes here strictly for the family room.
Yes. She does not come here for anything baseball related. She does not like any mascots. She doesn't want to go on the field. She wants to go and play in the family room with all the kids.
And Andrew, I think he comes here for the snacks.
Yeah.
He likes the snacks.
I think he comes because he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, that's it. He doesn't have a choice.
But then he doesn't know any better, but he gets here. He loves the atmosphere. He loves the loud noises. He's clapping in his stroller. He's ready to take the field from the stands, which is why we can't really sit because he's jumping over the seats and throwing things at people. So he just has a good time all around. He has no fear.
Sounds like they live the life. I love it. So Addie just started playing t-ball. How cute is that? So Robert, how involved are you? I heard that you're coaching through the grapevine. So what does that look like for you guys?
So yeah, I think it was last season I coached every Saturday and then we had practices on Thursdays, which ended up working out because since I got traded here, I was able to finish the last month of the season because we were in spring training.
So she plays t-ball in Arizona.
Yeah, she plays t-ball in Arizona.
She doesn't play it out here. So she does in the off season and then he coaches. So.
Yeah. So we run a little practice. She thinks she calls me coach.
Really?
Good. Yeah.
She's that discipline. She's like, I respect.
He said it's coach when I'm on the field. She just
I was kidding around, but then she actually took it serious. I was like, all right, we'll ride with it.
So when it comes to Rangers Day in the life, so let's say there's a home game 7:05. What does it look like in the Garcia household?
I'll let you answer that.
Usually when it's time to wake me up, I have a 1-year-old jumping on me, and then Addie saying, "Daddy, daddy, daddy, it's time to get up." And usually it's probably like 10 o'clock. So, I don't like to sleep past 10 because it's too late for me. But they'll wake me up, and then we'll go and we'll make breakfast. The kids love pancakes in the morning. Sometimes we'll switch it up, but Addie loves pancakes, and then Drew just kind of eats whatever. And and then watch TV. Drew loves his cartoons, so he has to watch cartoons, so I'll sit down with him.
Very boring.
If we have,
very basic.
Well, it's peaceful.
Yeah.
yeah, I like to keep it really chill. Sometimes we'll have some errands like groceries to go pick up. We'll go do that. Sometimes we'll go to the park.
Yeah.
You know, this year we haven't gone to the pool, but last year we go to the pool a lot. And then
That's pretty much it.
That's probably all the time you can really have. Get to the field super early, so.
So what do you do once Robert gets to the field?
Usually meet up with another a fellow Ranger wife and their kids and try to get together for a play date. And then nap time, and then it's almost like shower, go to the field. So
Which wife do you feel like you call the most for Rangers play dates?
I would say that there's a few. I would say we've done a lot of play dates with Kenzie Heim and Jen Corbin. I would say we've seen the most. Yeah.
I love that. Robert, how do you feel knowing that Paige has such a great support system with other Rangers' wives and families?
That's been great. I think it's something that I think makes everything on her job a lot easier. The fact that she has someone that she can go relate to, and it's kind of like those are her teammates, and that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, you know, they have the kids all day. Sometimes it could be very stressful. And so the fact that they can lean on each other and have each other as teammates is great. So
we'd rather it be one big chaos mess than like independent and like struggling on our own. So
It's a really good perspective.
I feel like all the Rangers here, though, there's been several trips where the guys are on the road and we all, you know, do a zoo day, and it's like all the Rangers kids at the zoo. So everyone's been like so great in the community.
Good. Robert, one last question for you. In the Rangers bullpen, who's the funniest guy in there? You guys spend a lot of time in the bullpen, so who do you talk to the most, and who's kind of the jokester in that regard?
the funniest guy in the bullpen is Luke Jackson. Yeah.
His interview the other day was nuts. He's awesome.
It doesn't get any more funnier than that guy. He's been great. Keeps it light. Makes sure, you know, the vibes are high and everybody's doing good. So yeah. He's an awesome guy.
Good. Well, guys, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Thank you for having us.
But thanks again for joining me. Rangers fans, make sure to follow this episode, like, subscribe, comment down below who you want to see next on Rangers Deep in the Heart. Until next time, I'm Hannah Wing. We'll see you then.